Yes, welcome to the Elections Watch on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. 35 minutes gone past the hour 10. You're listening to the early edition. My name is Adu, and it's a beautiful Thursday here in the city of Lagos. And today I have with me a guest whom I'll be introducing to you shortly, but we are on the countdown. The clock is ticking, and the polls are getting closer by the day. I know a lot of you are already getting your PVC warmed up. Perhaps they're doing press up, or if not, you better get them doing press up now, because the elections are closer than you think. We're just days away now, and we told you here on Lagos Talks we'll be speaking to all the candidates at different levels, whether it's the presidential, governorship, legislative, on the national or state level. We'll be speaking to all of them, and it's my delight to have with us in the studio the gubernatorial candidate for the Labour Party in Lagos is none other than Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour.
Vivour. Good morning. Good to be here. How are you?
I'm very fine. And there's a lot to talk about. I know that you probably took some time out of your busy schedule because of your campaign and everything. I really appreciate it. Labour Party is interestingly gaining a lot of momentum. 4 years ago, this wasn't the case.
Exactly.
What would you say is the singular, amongst many things that have been responsible to get you up to this point as a party now?
I feel that the obedient movement played a huge part in that. Right. And before the obedient movement, there was the NSAS movement, which was a movement about citizen engagement and citizens holding their leadership accountable, and also getting more involved in the whole process of governance. You know, typically people just go back to sleep after elections, if they even woke up to vote at all, right? But this was a shift from the norm. And the NSAS seed grew the obedient tree. And Peter Obi was the ideal candidate that embodied the values that these people, especially the young people, were looking for. And really, everybody is looking for accountability, character, capacity, a desire, compassion, a desire to move Nigeria forward, and to actually servant leadership. And that movement adopted him as the face of it. And I think that is where the momentum came from.
Well, antecedents in Nigeria have shown that it's quite an uphill task to take power from an incumbent opposition or incumbent party that is not of your own party. So far, so good. How much of a challenge has it been rising up to those who are in power and others who might be contending and vying for the same office as you?
Well, it is always a challenge, because especially when you come from a party like this where you don't have access to the state coffers, right? Or your people have not been built up financially by the state. So our hope is in the people. And it's only a challenge because a lot of people don't get involved.
Right.
Voter apathy. People unfortunately believe in the idea that their votes don't count. And I say to people that if your votes don't count, why do people spend so much money buying it, right? Your votes count. Your votes have always counted. The issue is the numbers of people that come out to vote. You can only rig where there's voter apathy, or where people don't turn up at all, or where you're extremely popular, right? So the moment people come out, right, then it's not such a challenge. Because when you think about how many of these people are there really in Lagos State, when you count all the structures that they think they have, how many are they really compared to a state that has almost 7-something million registered voters? And let's even say half of those people, 3.5 million, have their PVC in their hands. The moment an extra 1 million people turn out to vote in any direction, you cannot rig this election anymore. And then now we have the Beaver system that's come into play that will prevent a lot of people from using other people's identity to vote, prevent a lot of rigging, especially with the electronic transmission of votes. So it's not going to be a challenge like the way it was before. But most importantly, and this is also an appeal, everybody must ensure that they get their voters' cards before the election. Everybody must ensure that they come out to vote. In the event that they have not picked up their voters' cards, get 10 people that you know that have voters' cards and make sure they come out to vote. Once the people come out, there's nothing that...
No, but you know that Lagos has notoriety for this apathy that you've talked about, particularly with for lack of better words, area boys.
Yes.
And people who we call thugs typically, but area boys in our own parlance, who will scare people. Some of them use even harmful weapons to drive people away from polling areas. And this kind of made people look like, you know what, it's not worth losing my life over. I'll just rather just stay at home and play football.
Okay, so there's something we must correct, because after my elections in 2019, I ran for Senate in 2019, and I went to court after. I went to tribunal, and the crux of my case was about violence during the elections. So the fact of the matter is, majority of the parts of Lagos, elections ran smoothly. There was violence, yes, at Jeremy Feludu, in parts of Jeremy Feludu, in parts of Oshodi, in parts of Shomolu. But that's 3 local governments. When you count 13,325 polling units, about like 20 something, between 20 and 30 polling units had issues. That's less than 1%. So generally, this idea of I will not come out because of safety, and you're living in Ikeja, you're living in VI, you're living in Etiosa, you're living in Lagos mainland, it's not the case.
So that's just fictitious.
You see, bad news travels fast.
Okay.
And for people that are looking for excuses to stay in their house, it's a very nice excuse. Like, I'm just going to Netflix and chill. Yes, it's violent. But there's no violence happening in Ikoyi. There's no violence happening in Yaba. There's no violence that happened in Shomo and in Alimosho, in Ifakoja, in Ikeja. All these places had relatively peaceful elections. Now, that was in 2019. That being said, we have a resistance structure that we've built across Lagos State that's going to ensure that nobody is going to be intimidated on the day of election, especially in places that are flashpoints, right? So we're taking that very seriously all across the state, because while we've seen what they've done in the past, we're not going to repeat the same thing and expect a different result. We are also going to ensure that we have resistance.
All right, so now let's talk about your vision for Lagos, because Lagos, if I must say, not because I live here, but for obvious reasons, is one of the most important cities in Africa.
It is.
West Africa, there's none like Lagos. Entire continent, Lagos is one of those cities that you must but reckon with. If you get into the office of the coveted seat of governor of Lagos State, what are the areas you'll be focusing on your tenure? Should it be 4 years? Should it be 8 years? What are the things you want to achieve after the history books makes a record of your name?
When I become governor of Lagos, the main things that I'm going to tackle is ensuring Lagos State becomes an efficient machine. I think that gets to the crux of it.
And when you say efficient machine,
and I'll go into it. Efficiency is about being able to move freely from place to place in the most efficient way possible. Ensuring that we deliver 4 rail lines in 4 years. And ensure that we dredge our waterways so water transportation can become a norm in Lagos State.
So 4 rail lines in 4 years?
Yes.
Do we have the financial capacity to do that?
We do. See, the 16 kilometers road that it took 20-something years to do, they took out $1.2 billion loan for it. It took them 20 years to do it. Lagos to Ibadan is 175 kilometers. They did that in 5 years. 175 compared to the 16 kilometers they did in Lagos. And they came and made a show of it that the Blue Rail. Did anybody go with the Blue Rail this morning? Is anybody using the Blue Rail? You see, this tokenism is what I'm trying to get Lagos away from. This politics that close to election, all of a sudden you just start seeing roadworks and all of that. And then after the election, it just dies down. Right? We want a Lagos State that's consistently efficient, because our major interest is to better the lives and improve the quality of life of people that live in Lagos.
Right.
Tram station is one of it, because that's literally the circulatory, the bloodline, the system by which people move around. And that then directly affects accommodation and housing, making sure people have affordable housing, access to affordable housing, creating a culture of transparency and accountability so that our 1 naira is getting 1 naira value. You understand? Not that we're spending 4 million on something that costs 1 million. Because currently Lagos State is working times 4 in terms of inefficiency. So you are building a bridge that costs the money that you could have used to get 4 bridges. Right? So we want to be able to do that. When we're spending money on a kilometer of road, that is the best deal we can get for a kilometer of road. And to ensure that all our systems are open and transparent in terms of procurement, in terms of contract allocation, in terms of setting a benchmark for quality of roads that are being done, and the life expectancy of those roads. Depoliticizing everything involved with service delivery. So, for instance, you don't need to know a politician to get involved in Loma. You have a truck, just the way Uber does. You have a car, it meets the specifications, you can enroll it in the program, because we are deficient of all of these things. Same thing with the BRT bus lanes, right? We open it up to the private sector and create an enabling environment for private sector to be involved in infrastructure developments. Lagos State has no business doing all these projects, because then the efficiency of the state government in terms of its delivery is completely based on its purse strings. When really can just create an enabling environment for private sector to come in and build these things, and all we'll be doing is making sure that we own a percentage of it, and we regulate and ensure that the price points is being given to Lagosians is a very affordable price and is transferred back to government in a good time.
One of the arguments that people have pointed out at the current administration and political structure in Lagos is the tax master concept, where you have agberos and whatnot excessively taxing, beg your pardon, bus drivers and keke operators and all of these people, just to kind of generate some bit of revenue. And that structure has been so perfected that, how do you think you're going to go over that hurdle should you become governor? Because if that system had worked, or quote, for certain people so far, and you want to change the status quo, would that be an easy walk in the park?
See, my government is going to have a zero policy to agberos in Lagos State.
How are you going
to get there? Let me get there. It's more than even just the bus drivers, the keke napeps, and the little buses. If your car spoils on the road at night, you have to pay money to agberos. So you're trying to solve a major problem you're in, but these guys come and they're so what's the word? Entitled to collect money from you. Now, all of this is state backed, because these people generate almost 120 billion every year. That's not accounted for. That does not reflect in the people that are perpetuating the system, right? So we are going to create an alternative means for these young people to earn a living and localize it based on local governments. And we are not going to use them to be suppressing votes or to be causing problems on election day. You see, that's the main use for them with the state. And that's why the state backs them in everything they do. That's why even at this point, even bus drivers are complaining about it. So we are going to create an employment skill program, increase employability skills, not just formal but informal, digital as well, and get them in the local government and enroll them in these things, and even give them food for skills. So we're going to create a system with them in mind, not just, we're not going to sit down and allow someone to make a policy. We're going to create this policy with them, create an alternative means to earn a living with them, and incentivize companies to also hire them in relation to the taxes that they will pay, or the tax deductions they will get from employing people that have graduated from these programs all across the state. Now, once the state governments come and say, we are not using anybody again to be able to suppress votes, we are not using you to, harm anybody that's not in our interest, obviously that job description has gone. So we are no longer going to back your standard for you. When
the crime will still be there.
That's why we are not just taking them off the streets and telling them get away. We are going to create an alternative means of earning living, so that after a year and a half, 2 years, anybody that is outside the law will be dealt with. So we'll first create the alternative, make sure we carry them along as much as possible, domicile it to the local government and even the ward level, and ensure that all these processes are carried on. And then once a number of people have graduated from this and we see it's successful, we then now come down with the law and ensure that these things are, because you see what is happening, it's proliferating. Right, the number of agberos you had 2 years ago,
it's not the same today.
Doubled.
It's double.
And you're also looking at all the young children that are looking up at these young men on the streets. They're just carrying plastic, hitting cars, collecting money. Then you see their boss is rubbing shoulders with presidents, governors, potential leaders of the country. Of course, they're not going to finish school. You have a problem with 2 million young people out of school. It's not just about giving them free education. It's who are they looking up to? What are the values we are celebrating in our society? And you're creating a situation where monkey they walk, baboon they chop. In that way, your productivity is going to consistently decline. And when you have a situation where the volume of these people are constantly increasing, they must look for new people to tax. If you get to a point where your shirt is looking nice, you say, what's going on? You're laughing. But I'm telling you that 40 years, 50 years ago, the woman that goes to market would never have imagined or described the current agbero situation that we're experiencing in Lagos. That was not the case. They used to just come, help you carry your load, put your load in the car, you dash them something. Now they are running things. To the point where bus drivers are coming to complain. They're also being attacked. You understand? So this cannot go on. And I'll give you an example. I'm an architect, right? And I'm doing a project in Surulere. I was doing a project in Surulere. These guys, inside an estate, they just came and demanded money. And my workers down their tools. Why? Because if I do not cooperate, when they are going home, they will be attacked and harassed. So I have to settle them. Now, after settling them, these same people called Alausa, that there's work going on here, they should come and collect their own. So they are working hand in hand. This is a personal experience. So this relationship has to be broken. They need to become productive members of society, and nobody should feel that, oh, it does not affect me because I'm driving my big car and I'm going around and everything. You know, it's only affecting people riding the bus. It's only affecting the bus drivers. It's only affecting the market sellers and people in the markets. No, if you see about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago in Lekki, that Lekki phase 2, you found there was one part where like 20 cars were pretty much just held down and they were just banging on the cars and collecting money of them. In Apapa, places where there's so much traffic, Apapa, Amuo, parts of Algeria, Mifelodu, people have to go the long way around because once they're in traffic, someone just come and start hitting their cars and trying to collect money from them, stealing their side mirrors. So this thing must be dealt with. And we have a massive youth bulge in Lagos State. So we must ensure that we tackle youth unemployment, right? And bring all of these people in to an alternative means of earning a living.
So now that you mentioned youth, because you're just almost like preempting the areas I wanted to get into. Education.
Yes.
Is a major concern for Lagosians, particularly in government-run schools. Yes. There have been many instances of videos on social media where we see children in government schools abusing drugs, getting into cults, having many of these vices proliferated in these schools because, you know, the quality of education is not as robust, perhaps, as what it used to be. What is your strategy, should you become governor, for education? The youth you talked about, particularly at the primary, secondary, and even tertiary level.
So education is not just about paying teachers and building school. There must be a social welfare system around it, right? Okay. And that's the system we are going to bring to play. You see, we have to look at the mothers of these children, especially mothers that are been recently widowed or divorced, understand their mindset and have data of all this at the local government. So whatever support they need to make sure that these children are being well taken care of and can be brought to school. Because if a woman is distraught, how is she going to wake up in the morning to take care of these children to make sure they get to school? That's why you just see even the markets, right? A woman is selling there, she has 2 children, 3 children behind. There must be a creche in that market. There must be a kindergarten. The government must make its presence felt at every layer to ensure that we are creating children that can be productive members of society. You don't just build a school and expect that everything will fall in place. No, there must be social welfare workers that are looking at all of these things. So that's the kind of system we are bringing to bear. We must create an education system that is not just productive, but it's practical. You see, education in Nigeria really is a lot of cramming, a lot of knowledge that you never end up using, a lot of knowledge that you never really understand the real world applications of. So even in today's world where we have in-demand jobs, we have, you know, you can learn a skill. Today's world is about skill. It's about skill acquisition that is necessary for that particular time, for that timing, right? So there are things like in-demand jobs where you are trained to know how to do a certain code, or you are trained to be able to use certain equipment, and then you can produce things. And that's all we are going to focus about in Lagos: efficiency, productivity, right? And all these things are going to domicile at local government level, right? So for us, one, we are going to make sure we have after-school programs so that you don't just finish from school and go home, you know, and then you can then under the influence of drugs, or because all these things also tie into the agro proliferation. Because if you go to school and you come back, and those are the people you're hanging around with, and that's the culture that you see being celebrated, it's easy to start to be influenced. When you also have an after-school program that's looking at your strengths in school, combining this data and enrolling you in things that can also make you even better outside of school, these things start to reduce, right? So we're coming, and also practical knowledge, and then domicile it to the local government. So for instance, you live in Ekpe, you live in Ikorodu, we want to make the value chain of aquaculture as long as possible. Now, if you are one of the children that live in these places, you will have practical knowledge about this industry.
Right.
right? So that in this your main domicile, you have knowledge that can allow you to be productive, knowledge that can help you earn a living, right? In that domicile, right? And that's what we are going to do across Lagos State. And also we are going to ensure that we are creating as many opportunities for these young people as possible. Creating enabling environments for businesses, because there's no point going to school reading, and then come out, businesses feel they are suffocating in Lagos State. They are moving to Ogun State. They are moving out to Ghana. Right? We need to create an enabling environment for businesses. They should not just be seen as.
Are you going to reduce the taxes?
We are going to create one. We are going to ensure that we reduce and remove stealth taxation. See, there are businesses.
So you're not going to reduce the VAT or the VAT tax.
So this is what I'm saying, right? There are businesses that are getting taxed from 3 different local governments.
Okay.
In this Lagos State. They are paying TV and radio tax. For what? Why are you paying TV and radio tax? I don't have TV and radio in my business. Why am I having to pay TV and radio tax? So we are going to review all of these things.
Because the local governments are trying to stay afloat, because many times the local government have been suffocated by the state government who collected the money and didn't give them enough money.
And that is why in our government, local government run independently, because they are so critical and crucial for me to succeed as a governor and to be remembered historically as one of the best governors Lagos State has had. I need a local government that is made up of local government chairmen that are potential governors, people with excellent thinking, people that are passionate about their people, right? So I cannot afford to suffocate them. You understand? So, and also usurp. So Lagos State government has usurped a lot of their responsibilities. All these ads that they are collecting, those ads are supposed to be going to local government, right? They need to be empowered. Right, so all those inner roads in Apapa, the inner roads in Jeremy, no Shodi, Solo, they are done properly. That's not the work of the Lagos State. It's the work of the local government chairman. Right, because I cannot feel the pains of Apapa as much from sitting in a central position. Yes, I can know about it. I can enable it. I can ensure that you work effectively. But you that are domiciled at that local government are best positioned to be able to deliver.
That's even if the person leaves in the local government.
They have to. They have to. So these are the things. This is what I'm talking about. We need to go head hunting. It cannot just be regular, because currently the local government is run as an appendage of the political party. They just send people there to reward them for their loyalty. That's why I see nothing is going on there. They're glorified contractors. We need visionaries. We need potential governors as local government chairmen. Right? And that is the kind of team that we're going to have in my government.
2 more questions before we allow our listeners to come through. Lagos State has had glory days in terms of, maybe shall I say, monumental structures, like you have the TBS, you have the National Theatre, just to name a few. Many of these structures are around the city, Third Mainland Bridge and the likes. Is there going to be a plan in your government, should you become the governor, to, shall I say, make these projects return back or even better than they used to be, and bring them up to more modern standards and more, should I say, bring them out of their moribund state?
Yes, so we're going to be restoring the glory of Lagos State. That goes without saying. And also celebrating our history. A lot of people don't know the history of Lagos State. That's why they say things like Lagos is no man's land, right? It's about creating a situation where all the structures we have, Lagos Island, there are so many eminent people that lived in spaces that fought against colonization, that fought the colonial masters. The history of Lagos is something that is a selling point for us. And these are things we must package and create in a way that will allow for people to travel, to come from abroad, to come and celebrate in our history. So these are things that we're going to be looking at to bring back fully and restore the glory. Because for Lagos State, for me, back as far back as 1966, Lagos State was ranked as one of the best cities in the world. Currently, in last decades, been ranked as one of the worst cities to live in the world, consistently, year after year. So it's not just about creating a situation where the quality of life of Lagosians are improved. It's also creating a situation where Lagos State is such a magnet to tourist visitation, so we can attract more foreign currency to come into our country, our state, and also allow for more people to earn a living. Right? Because, for instance, if we make Makoko an art district and we redevelop it in a unique way that the indigenous people have already started, but polish it up, make it more sophisticated, and also give them a pride of place in it. It's an art district. close to a place that celebrates water and aquaculture and things like that. And people are coming there to visit. Businesses in those areas will also benefit and thrive from it, right? And this goes all the way into every other aspect, coming into Lagos Island, Badagry. These are places that have historical relevance to Lagos State and must be, taken to the next level to attract a lot of tourism.
Interesting. Well, one final question, and this is like a big question a lot of Lagosians, or big issue a lot of Lagosians have to deal with, the issue of waste.
Oh, yes.
Waste management in Lagos is a big issue. Incidentally, I've had the MD of Loma come here a couple of times, and he's spoken about a few things they're trying to do. But it seems like as if the more they do, the more it surfaces. What would be your strategy to take waste management to a whole nother level from where it currently is?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, let's start by saying this. Waste management, Lagos State does not waste manage. They waste dump. I think it's an insult to say that Lagos State is waste managing. In waste managing, you're creating wealth from waste. You're ensuring efficient use of your waste. There are countries that import waste. Are you aware of this? Mm-hmm. They import waste.
To make biodiesel and the rest of it.
Exactly. Waste has value. What happens with Loma, first of all, is extremely politicized. You must know who is who in APC to be part of it. If you have anything leaning with any other political party, they'll cancel your jobs, right? So it's extremely inefficient, and they're just dumping waste, creating landfills all over the place in a state that already has a very small footprint. We cannot afford to just be creating landfills anyhow. We must ensure that, one, we domicile our waste collection at the local government level. The problem is there's too much centrifugation, right? Loma is too... We must have a situation where at the local government level, there's a waste collection mechanism, and the waste collection mechanism is sophisticated and separated from the house. So we are separating our organic waste from the house, separate from our paper waste and our inorganic waste separately. And there are different routes for all of these waste. So for instance, all organic waste is going to create biogas. It's going to create organic fertilizer. Mm-hmm. It's going to create, every other product from that. Where plastics is going directly, and then it makes Lagos a lot cleaner. Because now you have established that there is a value for this thing. And the value is starting from the house. Right? And then we are also going to look at, and we're going to play around with the numbers where whatever plastics are being used in Lagos State will come with a surcharge. Right? And when you dispose of that properly, you get paid back that surcharge that you paid on using plastic. Because we also want to get rid of plastics. We want to get rid of plastics in Lagos State. And then this then ties into our drainage systems. Because our drainage system must be covered properly, our primary, our secondary and tertiary drainage, and must be mechanized and data driven, right? So that our canals are not clogged with plastics, right? They must be covered properly, and there's so much we can make out of all of these things, right? In terms of design. And then at the secondary level, we ensure that it's mechanized and it's running at efficiency. So we are looking at water that's falling, we're gathering that data, and it's based on that the drainage, the pumps are working. It's not just... So, for instance, your pumping machine should not be running at 100 if the rains are not demanding it running at 100, right? So, it's efficiency by use of power. I want Lagos State to be known as that environmentally intelligent city that does not waste, right? And we can get there. Do you know why? Because, one, we have such a huge population in such a small footprint. It's not like Kwara State or Kogi that is massive, and then you have to be going around it to just be collecting small money from different settlements. The whole of Lagos is pretty much settled, and they're creating waste. And there are a lot of parts of Lagos State, even Bagada, parts of Bagada, they've not seen Loma truck in years. So we are going to open it up to the private sector. If you have the
But Loma is already open to the private sector.
Not really. It's very politicized, extreme politicized. You must know who you.
So you're going to essentially take away the politics.
Oh yes. See, politics is suffocating Lagos State. It's suffocating Lagos State. That you want to do a project that will make the lives of Lagos better, but one big man in this political party must own 40% equity in your company. If not, the business is not going to see life, right? Or you are doing roads for 4 times the price because you need to give money to one big man in a party. Right, these are things that are suffocating and chokeholding Lagos State from being the center of excellence that it is supposed to be. So it needs to go. There's 6 right, and the politicians have eaten fats for years. It's now time for the people, Right? Give me a spot and I can move the world. Lagos State has been anything. Who can have 4 meetings in a day in Lagos State? If you do two, you are lucky.
Virtually, you can have 4.
Virtually, but there are a lot of conversation that can. This interview will not be as nice if I called him from the house.
Absolutely.
Or not be. There are many meetings that you need to have face to face, and Lagos State must enable for those things to happen.
Well said there. Just in case you've been joining us, this is the Elections Watch, and it's been a very interesting conversation. I've been speaking with the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate for 2023 general election, Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour. Got it right?
Yes.
Okay. And he's been telling us about his policy plans and projects that he will be putting in place should he become the governor of Lagos. So, time for you to throw in questions. Now, remember, I wouldn't give room to political bashing and saying your party is stupid, your party is not. All of that would not fly here. Please ask questions that be civil, and let's get on the conversation. Numbers to call: 0809-234-5913, 0809-191-3913, and of course 015150913. You need to turn off your radio to get across to us. Let's hear your questions. Good morning. Yes, good morning to you. What's your name?
Adu, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm happy. I see this my carton. I wonder where are all these guys that they can't leave Lagos State for baby governors. I can't see. In fact, I'm just excited seeing a person like this in Lagosian. You know, I was a PDP fan, but now I'm obedient.
God bless you.
Ask him now that I live at somewhere in Yanakpaja, NYC, that area.
Yes.
I've not known where the Labour Party. I want to go there.
Please follow me on Twitter. I cannot on air, but if I can,
okay.
So I can send you the list of the local government chairmen in that area and the ward chairmen, so they'll be able to their meeting place office. And you can follow me. Send me a message, JRV Lagos, or that you called in, and this is what you're looking for, and I'll get you that information.
All right. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. To do that. Yes. And good morning to your guest in this.
Morning, sir.
In fact, I really enjoy what you are telling us. But my question to you is this: if you become the governor of Lagos State tomorrow, won't you join to the ruling party? Do you any question? Because Lagos do have the Lagos Assembly member. You have assembly member sent to you, because without the backing of legislation, it's been very difficult to. That's my question to you. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much for that question, sir. First of all, I believe that the only way Lagos forward is by having servant leadership, and the situation, as one that creates a situation where it's of the people putting us in power. That will ever get in, illuding ourselves. We don't have the bullion vans. We don't have the network of admirals, as you want to call them. It's the people, and once the people put us in power, those same people can remove us. So it's not for me. I don't need a party. I want people that mean well for Lagos to get in values, a party that subscribes to an ideology. For the first time in Nigeria, let us have an ideology. Let us have a situation where there's a back and forth relationship with the governed and the people that are governing. Right, and that's what Labour Party gives us as a potential situation for us to be able to turn Nigeria and turn Lagos around. We have a full set of state assembly members, House of Rep members, senators. Now, Labour Party obviously not goes through the traditional means of producing these people. So went through some court processes, but the court has given an order to INEC to open and to let us upload our candidates, which we have done. And I'm sure if you look around now, in certain local governments, you start to see House of Rep candidates, state assembly candidates, they're putting their posters up and everything. Obviously, like I said, the process was not the traditional process, but they have emerged and they're starting to do their campaigns. I'm also campaigning with them. I've done visitations with them as well, so I'm very excited about them. And I know that if you support, we're doing Labour all the way, from presidential to Senate to House of Rep, and come down to governor and state assembly, because like you said, we need a full team to be able to back these reforms that we're trying to bring into the system. And in trying to create a sustainable and transparent Lagos, you know that people are going to fight back. So we need enough people on our team to make sure that we can, push that fight through, because we are not just coming to pass time. We want to make sure that history remembers us as one of the best governors. I mean, I keep singing Jack Conde's praises even up till now. I want, in some years' time, for people to look and say, you know what, that man really made a difference.
All said there. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello?
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, sir. My name is Mike. I'm calling from BI.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Good morning to your guest.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the first one is, in Nigeria, when you, especially the new party, if you win an election, you have a lot of people with different ideology decamping to your party. Let's say you win in Lagos, you have those, especially these people with South jumping to your party, trying to either cover themselves from not being prosecuted and all of that. It's not as if they really care about you. They just want to. How are you going to handle those kind of people with different ideology decamping to your party if you eventually win? Then the second question is, do you consider, do you do some consultant trying to see if you can know people because Lagos is like, the APC in Lagos is like this a religion. They are so strong. You can't really beat them with just, you need people. Do you consider people maybe collapsing your structure and all of, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So in order to capture the state, because you can't do it alone, maybe if you can have people supporting you, like some of these unknown parties collapsing their structure in order for you to be able to win, or do you consider maybe supporting a particular candidate that you know that can be able to win?
All right.
My question.
All right. Thank you so much. Your first question is extremely important to me, and it's something that, really gives me cause for concern, because it's a reality in Nigeria, and it's been the reality in Nigerian politics for a long time. So for me, I feel that we're creating a new politic. We're creating a politics that is different and is focused on the people. And in doing that, we must also ensure that the quality of candidates that we put up reflect that. And that's why there's an ideology. And Peter Obi started this ideology by getting someone like Dati to be his VP. You could have gotten somebody else that was more, they could describe him, but it could be really cut from that same old cloth. But you see, Dati and him are cut from the same cloth. And we want to proliferate that across the entire party, across the entire states, in different states. We want quality people, a new type of politics. We want Labour Party to be known for a quality type of candidate representative, So that's the first thing. So we are not going to just be, yes, politics, they say it's like police station, everybody can come in, but we must also show that there's a line drawn in the sand, right? And we must also not let these people dilute what we are trying to create and where we are trying to go. Because where we are trying to go is the betterment of the Nigerian people, not just in talk, not just in lip service, but in reality. It's not that they're telling you on TV that they are doing well, that Lagos is working, they are working, but in your heart, you know that it still stayed in 4 hours traffic this morning. You understand? We want to change that reality. We want you to feel good governance. So we're not going to let any of these people that are going to disrupt that process come in and mess that up. That's the first thing. The second thing is we are working on a coalition, to ensure that we come together to face the ruling party in Lagos State. So yes, that is point well taken.
Okay. This is from Tari. It says, please, Adu, help me tell Mr. Gbadebo that I am obedient and I'm asking and requesting that we want to hear his campaign jingles here on Lagos Talks.
You should start hearing it from tomorrow, actually. We're having that conversation downstairs before I came up.
Okay. And so your prayers have been answered. Okay. Wasiu from Amukoko says, last election, Adu, in Amukoko, Ajeromi, Ifelodun local government area, thugs disrupted elections in about 10 or more polling units during the presidential and national house assembly. And they even slapped me at my polling unit. We are mapping out our strategies to cast our vote for the right candidates during this election. But what is Mr. Rhodes' party doing as regards the issue of security during elections? Because some parts of Ajegunle is dominated by a particular section of the country.
Yeah, I talked about that, and I actually did mention Ajurumi Feludo as part of those flashpoints that we are looking at. So we have a security and resistance strategy for all these local governments, especially places that are flashpoints and places that, the ruling party usually targets in elections. We experienced in 2019, like you actually talked about, Ajurumi Feludo was one of those places that I even made a complaint about in my tribunal case. So we're focusing on places like that to ensure that we have smooth and free elections.
Emperor Chooks says, good morning, Governor G. I like the way he says it. I just walked past the motorway, 7-Up. Many people, Agbero, are just sitting there smoking, drinking spirit and doing nothing. It's really a time bomb.
Exactly.
If they can be taken off the streets, it'll bring more development and security of lives and property. But Mr. Gbadebo, can we look at that strategy again? Because honestly, that Agbero, thorn in the flesh, if it's taken away, honestly, the history books will never forget your name. Yeah. But the reality is, these people have already been so indoctrinated with this lifestyle. Would it be that easy to say, okay, come learn how to use a computer?
No, it's not just computer.
I'm just saying as an example, come learn how to make furniture or leatherworks or ironwork or whatever it is that the empowerment will be.
Or they're interested in.
For them to leave that lifestyle that so easily gives them 500 naira and 1,000 naira.
I was thinking this, but let me give you an example. 3 weeks ago, I was in Amordofin and I went to POS and I get some cash. So I went to Apple Roundabout in Amordofin. And then some people that saw me during October 1st said, governor. So I was like, you people have come again. Yeah, they started walking with me, alai. I said, leave all this alai thing. And you people, if I bring job for you, tell me the truth. Will you be interested? My brother, if you see the way their whole faces change, you say, yes, we are looking for work. We don't have work. One of them went to a polytechnic. The other guy has 2 children. He was like, I have children. I don't want to be standing on the road and doing all of this thing. Oga, bring work. We go down. I have his number. We still chat. Right? These are people. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is like that.
You're right.
But let us also not run the danger of othering these human beings. Because all we see is what we see. These people are somebody's children. These people are somebody's husband. These people are somebody's brothers, sisters. Some of them have drug issues. Let's not treat drug issues as a criminal issue. Let's look at it as a rehabilitation issue, right? Let's get to know these people. And that's why I said we must domicile it to the local government level, right? So you have proper experts on this thing. You're working with them and you're letting them know we are not using you for this thing anymore. Their strength comes from how they are used during politics. Their strength comes from how one person that's in charge, I don't want to say his name, of this road transport will call them and then has the ability to promise them that they'll be in charge of collecting this money from this particular local government, and they are looking at it as a means of coming up. That's where this strength lies, and we are taking all of that away.
All right. More calls coming through. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, sir. What's your
name? Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Val. I'm calling from First Stack.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Your Excellency. 2 or 3 questions. One, I don't know if you have any representative from the Amordofin constituency that is contesting, because if you have, I've not seen. Your jingles, we don't really see, but I think you've addressed it. Now, I want to ask a critical question. The rail line, do you think there's a need to extend it up to Badagry?
Of course.
The fact that place might be used as a seaport.
Sir,
and all the stuff. Having this the Metro International Highway.
You have asked your question, you have answered it. Sir, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Even them shortening the line to Kokomaiko and not allowing to get to Ojo Papa is already a disgrace. We must get that blue line all the way to Badagry. So for tourists, I talk about tourism.
Yes,
we need to resuscitate Whispering Palms. These people have beautiful beaches. That whole Badagry division has felt left behind. They don't feel like they're part of Lagos. And the blue line that they just did again further confirms that fear and worry and really disdain. Right? These are part of Lagos. These are indigenous Lagosians in those areas.
Has oil, by the way.
Well, yes, now. And then also they're trying to do a dry port. Well, they're trying to do a dry port there or something along those lines. And there's a lot of development that they're planning, that have been planning for a long time. But when you have been leaving people behind, you know, it's not really going to just work like that. I know people that they've been trying to talk to give up their land that they've been caught with. But these people feel a disdain from you. Why are they going to participate or cooperate with you? Right? A lot of lands have been taken from long-term indigenous Lagos families. No value for those lands were given to the state. No value for those lands were given to those families. This is not just Badagry or Jo. They are talking also about places in Ikorodu, in Ekpe. They just stripped indigenous families of their lands. These are things that we're going to look into and ensure that there's a fair process, right, of all these things, and they'll be restored, right, so that we can now have proper cooperation, right? Because like he said, the blue line must get to Badagry. When I went to visit the Akran of Badagry about 2-3 months ago. I said it there, and I made sure it was recorded so they can hold me to that. The blue line must get to Badagry.
Well said. Good morning. What's your name? Okay, let's get on with the messages. This is says Ben from Godo says, "Good morning. I beg, Mr. Gbadebo is super intelligent. I just sincerely hope he wins. I will vote for him." Okay.
Thank you so much.
He says, Shayo says, "Good morning, Adu and GRC. I appreciate GRV. Oh, you wrote GRC actually. I appreciate you. Okay, he's architect, I guess he meant to say. Architect Rhodes-Vivour. He is my architect brother, coming to the studio this week. Nigerians, unfortunately, won't vote for brilliant minds, but low-grade minds, hypocrites, Agbero breeders, excuse makers, loot taskmaster, vote blind." But I think he already answered this, Dio from Fagba. He said that those who have the PVC coming out to vote will make a difference in the election. And you talked about coalition as well.
Yes. So we're talking to a number of other governorship candidates in other parties and trying to come together, form a coalition to face the ruling party.
Okay.
But there's something to be said for what he said, because you see, our politics was not always like this. There was a time our greatest leaders were thinkers. Awolowo was a thinker. And you see it reflected in the quality of governance he gave to people in the Southwest, and even the quality that he actually brought to governance in Nigeria as a whole. Look at people like Tafawa Balewa, look at people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, look at how many books that these people wrote.
Yeah.
These are thinking men. The issue is that we left this for too long in the hands of people that are reformed 419ers, reformed drug dealers. They then got into our politics and created a new prototype of what we think politicians are. And we need to change that again. But it's important to realize that people like Lateef Jakonde, these are thinkers, and you see it in the quality of governance that we had. Right? It was not just about profligacy and just spending money and buying your way into office and, dancing and cracking jokes. You were thinking. Now, recently, in the last 20 years, they almost make fun of a thinking man in politics. Like, your grammar is too much. But is grammar the right policy now? Right? If you want to move people forward, you're not just going to talk it. You're going to have to put policy guy. You have to think innovatively to create the best deals for your people. You have to be intelligent. Look at the leaders of Singapore, India, China, Japan. These are some of the most brilliant minds that they have in the country. And we need to get back into that. Okay. I'm just saying, so we can move the country forward.
Ochiko Odibo from Ikorodu says, "Good morning, sir. Please, can you help us? Can you help clarify the issue of Tinubu built Lagos? Because that word irritates me each time APC apologists come saying it in public."
It's not just irritating; it's disgusting. Right, my great-grandfather lived in Lagos State. The city hall was built on my family land. So for people to say that somebody built Lagos from where in 1999, by 1966, Lagos State was ranked as one of the best cities in the world. Right, in the 20s, in the 10s, Darucha was pumping water from Iju Waterworks to Lagos Island. Right, Lagos State has been excellent. It did not become excellent in 1999. That's why it's called the Center of Excellence. And so many great people have lived in Lagos State. So many great people have lived in Lagos State. The Lagos State that the person that I called Tinubu, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu grew up in, was the Lagos State that opened the tap and water came out of it. Is that Lagos State that left for us? It was a state where people could go to hospital, right, and get proper treatment. Now, the Lagos State he built, he has to leave the same Lagos to go and take ejection outside the country? Is that Lagos State that he built? Is that the great Lagos State? Lagos State full of traffic and just agberos and insecurity. And there was a time when Lagos State where you could go clubbing from Surulere, you go to Ilupeju all night, 4 o'clock, you're still out. You don't feel any sense of insecurity. Can they do that now without Mopo moving around? Is that the Lagos State that he built? So please, no, Lagos State has been so much more. We get our pedigree from Lagos State, and it's something I take very, very personally. Very, very personally. Lagos State has been great for a very long time, and he didn't do any sort. In fact, he made it worse, in my opinion.
Hello, good morning. What's your name?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Francis, and I'm calling from Lekki.
Hey, Francis, how you doing?
I'm fine. Mr. Favor, yeah, good morning.
Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour, sir. Good morning.
In short, I'm an obedience. There's something I want to let you to understand. People living in Lekki, as you say, it has got to extent that they are going to have to threaten people that if they know they will not come and vote for their candidate, that they should not come out. If you go to the market places, that is a threatening going on there now. What are you people doing about it? Or haven't you people heard about it?
Hello,
so
sir.
That's my question. And secondly, sir,
okay.
Even while you were in PDP, we know that PDP has been, if we were to count the voting, PDP has been winning all this while. But still, the APC know how to manipulate their way and come out to be the winner. What are you people doing about it? And secondly, and thirdly, I want you to please, if you can emerge with one of these great parties, because it's like PDP, they believe, sincerely speaking, most of the ballots and all that, they are on their side, and they are going a long way to threaten everybody under them. So I want you to please match with a strong party. I want to let us take this Lagos from them first. Then after then we can now set a standard by which we can live. But let us take it from this set of people, because to take it won't be a day job, please. I want people to think about it and come up with a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm not just going to answer this question to you. I'm also going to direct it to all the listeners. We need to understand what we are getting involved in. Obviously, they are scared. They are worried. This is not something that is typical in Nigeria. That people are mobilizing without being mobilized. That people are using their own money to print their t-shirt and caps. That people are coming out in mass to campaign, and you are not seeing videos of them afterwards looking for people to give them money, sharing money to go home. So they are worried. They are scared. But the fact of the matter is this. We also need to understand that power is not served a la carte. We have to take this money. We have to take this power. So they will threaten. Like I said, we are building our security resistance network, and we are going to be on ground that day. And every other person must be determined. This is a fight. It's a fight to free Lagos and to create a Lagos that will work for you. It's not about Gbadebo. It's not about Labour Party. It's not about Peter Obi. Nigeria to work for you. Lagos to work for you. There are people that will not vote. They will not do anything. They will not get their PVC, but they will go and cross desert to get to Italy. They'll cross the Atlantic to get to wherever they are running to. A lot of people die on the way. But we are telling you to come out on election day and vote. Right? And the more of you that are out there, there's nothing these people can do. We outnumber them at least 100-1. All these area boys that you want to talk about, they're not up to two. Let's say we'll give them 5,000 people. If 2 million people come out to vote, look at the difference in numbers. They cannot do anything. So let us not be intimidated. As long as we come together, right, they cannot do anything. So let us not be afraid. That is what they count on. They believe that we'll be afraid, we'll stay in the house, we'll not care. But believe me, if Lagos State works, it will reflect in Nigeria and to also reflect in Africa as a whole. But if Lagos State works, the amount of opportunities that will create for our young ones, for our youth. See, people don't realize this. Nigeria getting so bad, a situation where your children will go abroad and you're not going to see them again at a certain point. You'll be in your 60s, 70s, you won't have seen your children for almost 10 years because they have to run away. Is that the future that we want? I want to be able to play with my grandchildren. I do. There are smaller things. There are smaller things that affect us. So look at the anger that pents up in a human being driving in traffic for almost 3 hours, 4 hours every day. He gets home, he fights with his wife, he hits her. These are little things, but they are byproducts of a Lagos state not working. How is it affecting the family unit? These are also how is it affecting businesses? And these are things we must fight to liberate, because Lagos state can truly be excellent, right? That's the first thing. I think he also talked about forming coalitions, and I've talked about that already. We are forming coalitions. We are working with different unions, because so many people want a better Lagos and so many people want a better Nigeria, and we're all going to come together to deliver that.
Oh, thank you very much for all that you said. Oh, one more before we let you go. It says, good morning, Andrew and Mr. Gbadebo. There's no present poster or presence of Labour Party, says Oroshoki
In Koshofe.
Says there's no poster of yourself.
I know that we put posters in Koshofe day before yesterday night. So I'll look into that as well. Thank you for this feedback. Like I said, our strategy is a surge strategy. I keep telling people, and I don't shy away from it, we don't have bullion vans, right? So our resources are going to be trying to be used efficiently as close to election as possible. But I did get reports that our posters were up in Koshofe 2 nights ago. Because of all this, I would look to make sure that it has not been covered, because that's what they tend to do. We put posters up, the next day they cover it, or they remove our banners and all that. But we are going to keep pressing through. We're going to keep using materials as we can. Like I said, we are funding ourselves by the bootstraps, right? So we're just going to keep going and pushing as much as we can. But I know that it's not by big banners or posters, it's about the hearts and minds of people. And I'm hoping that we will understand that this is our project, right? It's not Gbadebo, it's not Peter Obi, it's our project. And let us not be limited by the traditional means of politics. Let us do the right thing. Let us vote wisely, and let's ensure that we have a Nigerian legal state that works for us all.
All right, thank you so much. I've been speaking with Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour, the gubernatorial candidate for Labour Party on the Elections Watch today. Quite an interesting conversation. It will be rebroadcast on Saturday, so you can listen in again to his ideas, his policies, and the things he intends to do should he become the governor of Lagos State. The most important thing that you must take away from this conversation is that the power belongs to you.
The people.
You must exercise that power. Please get your PVCs. If the PVCs have been gotten, ensure that you utilize them to vote. If you sit at home hoping for magic to happen, magic will not happen. All right, so you must exercise your civic responsibility, and we'll be back again on Tuesday. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
And coming up next, the midday show, so don't touch the dial.